Not me talking this entire time with my microphone on mute. Sorry about that. Let's try again. Hello, everyone. My name is Isabel. I am a coach at Major League Hacking. Today, we will be talking about productivity. Um, Hello, Nagi. Hello, Himanshu. Ooh, that sounds like a familiar face. Or name, username, my bad. But say hi in the chat. Let us know how Global Hack Week is going. Tell us any cool stuff that you learned in a previous workshop or something cool that you're building. Ooh, hello from India. I'm coming from New York, America, US. Yeah, oops. Um, so today we will be talking about productivity. I want to talk about how to prioritize tasks, how to set goals, how to make habits, manage your time, and even your mental health. Um, I usually, to those who are unfamiliar, I usually have a very interactive workshop or technical session. So please do not hesitate to type in the chat, comments, questions, concerns, stuff like that, or even just to say hi. Winter, sir, hey, dude, what's up? Good to see you. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. First things up, prioritization. When I did this session once before, I called it triaging tasks because the way that I view it is when you see all of these tasks, you triage, you figure out which one needs to be done first, which one can wait a little, and which one is not a priority. And the way that I've done that, the way that I've broken down the prioritization of my tasks to make it a little easier instead of just like numbering them, which one happens first, second, third, would be first up, which ones are important? Which ones are urgent? Which ones are both? Which ones are neither? And by this, what I mean is if it's important, oops, um, does it further your goals? We'll go into it later about how to define those goals so that you can be more intentional in how you prioritize your tasks. But otherwise, the question that's important to be asked here when you're prioritizing is, does this task further the goals that I am setting out to do? On the other hand, urgent is if does it put out any fires? Like that's the idiomatic expression that I've come to uh, associate it with. Does it put out any fires? And then both is, well, obviously, if it furthers the goals and it's really, really urgent and needs to be needs to happen right now. Um, Another way to help with the prioritization, especially if it's urgent, is noting down the deadlines. That way, later when we go into time management, we know to make more time for those that are bigger tasks versus they're more urgent, but they're very, very small tasks, you know? Balancing those different responsibilities, I believe. But yes, so one's okay. And then note deadlines, if they're emergencies, and then uh, another thing to note here is that it would, let's see, my bad. In order of which ones would be prioritized, important and urgent should always be done first because uh, it furthers your goals and it puts out the fires. But then don't focus too much on putting out all the fires because then you're staying in the same place. You are not furthering your goals. You're not walking towards what you're trying to do, but instead you are just reacting to the things that are happening around you. So yes, so I'm going to remove this, and then that is the order at which I prioritize things, and is the suggestion that I have for y'all. Um, yes. Now, for task management in general, like now that you know which ones to do first, how do I, for example, know all of the stuff that I have to do? For example, if you have classes plus work plus a club, etc. Hello, hello, welcome. Um, and there are different ways to go about this. I am going to briefly go over the ones that I've tried, how they're good for me, how they weren't good for me, when they are recommended. And yeah, so I'm going to break this task management stuff down in order by medium. So some people like to do it pen and paper, and then some people like to do it digitally. Nice. Um, for pen and paper, there's the very typical, like absolutely basic first step to-do list. This one, you just list down all of the, I called it a laundry list last time. Um, But basically, you just list down every single thing you have to do. Now, the pros of this is you get to see everything all at once. You know all of the stuff that you have to do, and you can be better informed about all the different things that need your attention. On the other hand, biggest downside is if you see all of the stuff you have to do. A yes, it is. The The biggest downside to having a laundry list I've learned since I last did this workshop is that it is overwhelming because you see all of them at once, and then let's say it's a very long list, you become paralyzed at the thought of all the things you have to do. And then it becomes the term is, I think, analysis paralysis or paradox of choice, stuff like that, where because you have so many different things to choose from, it becomes difficult to just narrow it down to one, thereby stopping you from making a decision at all. Um, um, Paradox of choice. But you get to see everything from a bird's eye view because you get to see everything that you have to do. Um, okay, you've been paralyzed by how many you have to do. Okay, and then another way that you can use pen and paper to manage your tasks would be bullet journals. This is something that um, I did for a really long time. To those unfamiliar, I'll put up an image of something that I made a while ago. But so this is what a bullet journal can look like. So what I like about bullet journals is that there is so much freedom of like creativity. Let's put that down. Yay, creativity and self-expression, because it's not just managing your tasks, but it's also um, putting positive affirmations, scheduling, managing your habits. Like the advantage of bullet journals is customizability. I like that. So customizability, creativity, self-expression. Um, it allows you to do so much more. The downside is, okay, so let's put in a time consuming. I have spent many hours just like rulering everything and stenciling everything and washi taping everything. It is also expensive and can be expensive, especially if you go to like Muji and have all of these different tools and Tombos, etc. Yes, it is very much an aesthetic. So if you're like the Instagrammable studygrams type person, it can be very motivating to see like, oh, I look like I got my stuff together. when you have a bullet journal that's organized, that's decorated, etc. So balancing that is something that you'll have to learn if you go into bullet journals. Um, and like quick tangent, let's look at some of the affirmations that I had from April 2019. Um, Done is better than perfect. Take a break instead of giving up. Um, what else? Never forget why you're doing it. I have no idea what's in this blue one. I did not color code accordingly, but I did color code my task, so that was, I mean, my event, so that was cool. Um, I'll leave that there. So that's for bullet journals. What else do we have for pen and paper? I think, oh, and then finally, if you to be able to do the customizability of bullet journals without being as time consuming, a middle ground for example, beginners would be a structured planner. So those are the ones that have printed dates, that have prompts and um, dates. Nay, no, it's just, yeah, it's a solid choice. Um, yeah, I don't think I need to go too much into a structured planner since they kind of like help you along the way while you manage your tasks and your events and stuff. But let's look at digital. So we have our usual software like Asana, Trello, Notion, etc. So these are, so the root of them is Kanban boards. The um, oops. So the Kanban boards are uh, 3 columns usually. You can have more. That's what we've seen with Notion and I think Trello, but originally it was only supposed to be 3 columns where it's like not started, in progress, and completed. And then the point of it was you could drag along those tasks from not started into in progress into completed, and then it's a visual representation of your tasks. So as you've noticed, I realize now that most of the task management stuff that I've been mentioning are very visual. I find that being able to see and have a physical reminder of the stuff that you have to do is helpful because, yeah, we can remember it in our heads, but do we actually remember it in our heads? So it's very important to write it down either on paper or digitally. But so we have those software like Kanban boards and stuff. And then there's also software like Todoist, which is closer to the laundry list style um, or DIY spreadsheets, for example. Oh, spreadsheets is a different one. And then spreadsheets. I showed this to the team. Oh, I showed this to everyone last time, but the let's say Blue Joe. I want to say this. Let's look at this. So this is something that I created before. A way to a very overkill. I'm a very type A personality type person, um, but the way that I did it in order to manage my tasks was oh, this isn't task exactly. This is for habits. I'll save it for later. Oops, my bad. But the same still applies. Like when you manage tasks, when you manage your goals, spreadsheets are very helpful because they're customizable. You can do whatever you want with them. But again, with customizability is time and effort. Um, with that being said, yeah, those are the different ways that we can manage tasks. If anyone has any specific questions about like different ways that you can use these task management methods, or if you want to share how you're using, how you're managing your own tasks, we'd love to hear it. We are sharing different perspectives here. And in the meantime, I'm going to go into goal setting. I had mentioned earlier that when you manage your tasks, um, it is uh, helpful to know why you're doing these things, what your goal is. I'll add sticky notes to pen and paper, sticky notes, and then keep them coming. But yeah, so for goal setting, the most, um, yes. So for goal setting, we can split this up into, let's say, long-term goals. So this is between months and years. Months and years. And then we have weekly goals. So, yeah, weekly goals and then daily goals. Um, it doesn't sound entirely like a goal if it's just like daily because it's so short term, but I'm still gonna call it that just because what I mean by goal is something that you are looking forward to, something that you are anticipating or expecting or want from yourself or from, I don't know, the world. Um, and with that, to those who are familiar, the best way to do long-term goals is by making them SMART goals. So SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Making sure that your goals are specific and measurable, etc., allows you to be more intentional about what you are doing, and it doesn't leave room for ambiguity. Like, for example, if I had oops, let's do this here. My long-term goal is I want to graduate, but like, what does that mean? How do I get there? So SMART goals allow you to like reflect on each of those goals so that you can expand on them. For example, what exactly am I trying to achieve? Oh, let's do it this way. I want to graduate with a CS degree. And then measurable, I want to graduate with, let's try to be, I want to say 3.0 GPA. Well, we will be optimistic. Let's say attainable. So, is it genuinely possible to achieve it? Um, let's say go to classes. This part I would say complete last. How many classes do I have left? Like 3, and pass. Relevant. Does it contribute to your agency's revenue growth? I never looked at that, so I'm going to cover it because I don't like that it's specific to a company. We are individuals here. There. I'm going to leave it like that. Cool. Relevant. I want to be let's say I want to be a software engineer. I'm not entirely sure yet personally. I want to be a software engineer, and this will take me there. So that's how it's relevant. And then finally, time bound by May 2023. Therefore, my I want to graduate goal is no longer vague. I can't just say, oh, I'll graduate next year or I'll graduate eventually before I die. Um, Now I know I'm graduating by this set time. That gives me a deadline, that gives me a timeline, that gives me a way to better manage how to get there by that time. Making sure that's relevant will help motivate me, which I will gladly go into a lot by the time we get to mental health, motivation, discipline, stuff like that, because it's something that I'm personally struggling with a lot. So I'd love to hear what everyone else says about that too. But yeah, so um, that's how I would suggest looking at long-term goals so that they aren't just vague and unreachable. On the other hand, weekly goals are a little more fluid, I want to say, where it's something that, for example, okay, finish this project. That's a little easier. This is, um, oh, Notion has a decent SMART goal planner template. Thank you for that, Jessa. Um, I will note that down. And I have been saying over and over again that I would make a resources page for all of the workshops that I've had. I will make sure to look for it. Or Jessa, if you could share the link with the rest of um, the folks here in the chat, that would be awesome. And then I'll put it in my resources page so that everyone has all of the templates that they need. Um, cool, 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 cool. I think I might be, no, I'm not. Nice. So weekly goals could be based on deadlines. Yeah. And then the daily goals are, so the way that I do these daily goals is top, sorry, yeah, top 3 for the day. So the way that I do my daily goals is if I had to do only 3 things today, like just 3, like if I only had time for 3, what are they? Even if I don't get to anything else, what are 3 things that I absolutely have to get done by today? That makes it a measurable number where it's like not too many, not enough. Um, it um, puts a threshold of like, okay, if I finish these 3, I'm set. I'm good. I have accomplished 3 whole things. Um, and it keeps you it gives you sort of like a north star for that day where like this is how many things I need to accomplish. I actually did that on my whiteboard where um I put the 3 things in order of where when they need to get done. So I needed to prep for this session, I needed to code a website, and then I need to read an article. Those are the 3 things I absolutely needed to finish by today. And even if I don't get to everything else, those 3 I need to finish by today. So those are the daily goals. Um, yes. And then let's see. Next up, unless anyone else has or anyone has any questions, I'm gonna go into habits. Um, Habits are a little daunting usually because they take a lot of consistency. And that is something that is difficult to come by for people sometimes. Um, and there are different schools of thought where, like, oh, if you do it for a week, then it's a habit. If you do it for 3 weeks, it's a habit. If you do it consistently for X amount of time, it's a habit. But I'm not gonna be a stickler for when it becomes a habit. You know when you have to, or when you stop thinking about it, when it stops being an effort of like I have to write down that I need to do my skincare routine, for example, um, instead of instead of having to write it down every day, you now know that at this particular time or right after you finish this thing, you need to do it. Oh, that's a good thing. Cues. Um, so, one way to build your habits is to follow cues. So, at a certain time or um, a certain task or so if you have those cues, then use an alarm. If after a certain task, then use your task manager. stuff like that. Um, if you have a certain cue to tell you to do your habit, excuse me, sorry. If you have a certain cue to do a certain habit, you are more likely to stick to it because there's something reminding you. But it's not like or if all else, sticky note. I remember someone suggested a sticky note. The thing one downside to sticky notes is because no, actually, I was gonna say because there are no timestamps, but that's all of the pen and paper methods. So yeah, this is good. So habits for sticky notes, task manager, alarm, etc. Um, Another thing about so for good habits, that's cues. For bad habits, there are a bunch of habit tracker softwares um, to help break bad habits. Um, I'm gonna note here that when it comes to mental health, I want to briefly talk about not beating yourself up too much if you slip up on a bad habit or if you miss a deadline. Um, okay, I'll go into that later. I just wanted to make sure that I noted it down. But so for habits, don't beat yourself up too hard. If you do break the bad habit, just start all over. Not yeah, start all over again. Um, and it's important to keep track of why. For example, if you are so tired of your skincare routine and you don't want to keep doing it every morning, or if it's too many products, remembering why you're doing it, which is clear skin, or self care, or peace, or health, keeping in mind those motivations will help you build those habits better. Um, and yeah, does anyone else have any suggestions for those who have good habits or are working on having good habits? Do you have any tips, suggestions? I'd love to hear them. I also think about another trick that I learned was if it takes less than 5 minutes, do it immediately instead of doing it later. GTD method, I think the term is. If it takes less than 5 minutes, do it immediately. Um, Start small. That's another one. Start small. So remember what I said about the skincare routine? If it's um, if it's a 10-step process, don't start with 10 steps. You start with something manageable. Um, and work your way up. So if your habit is brushing your teeth, instead of doing no, that's if your habit is leak codes, yes, leak codes. Some people have this idea where you do your you do what 5, 10 leak code questions every single day for a week straight, and that leads to what I like to call burnout. Um, and it is often underestimated, and I would love to talk more in depth about it. But if you start with a big habit or with too frequent of a habit, then you're going to get burnt out really quickly. So if you start small and manageable and then work your way up, then it'll be easier, more manageable, more likely to stick. Um, yeah. Is there anything else? Yeah. Can this be shared as a link? Yes. So I am posting all of the slides um, and whatever links that I get in resources page, but while that's in progress, I'm going to put it in the same announcement that I made for this workshop. So I'll just edit that post and then I'll put the link there. That way everyone has it. Cool. And then, so that's, yeah, for sure. No problem. And then, so we're up to time management. Unless anyone has any questions, again, I'm always welcome to pausing and having tangents and discussions. So for time management, um, something that I have learned to do is track my time. So time tracking allows you to know how much time you're putting into every task, how much time you're putting into your leak codes, how much time you're putting into class ABC. Ooh, someone has a suggestion for a habit tracking app. Software. I've tried Habitica. That's the one that's like it gamifies habits, and it's like you get XP for finishing a task, and then you can use those. You can get currency to switch up your avatar. It's pretty fun. If you're a gamer or if you just like visual stuff, Habitica is a good choice. Thank you for that, Habitica. Oops, cool, etc. Planning for potential Planning for potential failures can help you from spiraling if you don't achieve what you planned. Facts. Yes. Thank you for that. I don't know where to put it. I love it, but I want to put it. I'm gonna keep that there for a little bit. Thank you for that, Jessa. Um, yes. So time tracking. I love the use of spiraling because that's what I've been doing lately, like downward spirals. And I haven't heard people use that. But yeah, so time tracking, usually we say we'll dedicate X amount of time to do this or X amount of time to do that. But if it's just like a time, like a block of time, like I'll do it between 3 to 5, it might not actually be 2 hours. Like, what if out of those 2 hours you're on the phone for half an hour? And then you had said that you would study for 2 hours, but then it wasn't actually 2 hours. So, being more cognizant of how you're actually using your time will help you better manage it. So, know how your time is actually being used. Because, for example, some of the things that you wouldn't actually realize unless you started tracking your time with, for example, different software or um, calendars or paper stuff, would be how much time you spend on emails, like responding to emails, drafting stuff out, reading them, deleting spam, stuff like that. Or before when I was bullet journaling. It would take me hours because I was so busy with like colors and like font or not, yeah, stuff like that. And once you know how your time is being used, you can be more intentional and put them towards things that will actually further your goals. So the prioritization will kick in here. Some things that are helpful for tracking time include what was my list before? So typical one would be Google Calendar. There is a startup that I have been eyeing for a while. They have a good tech, good everything. It's just slightly expensive. Motion, really cool. What it does is it tracks your time, but then also if you have tasks, it'll schedule it for you. They have like AI to do it. So that's pretty cool. And then something that I've used for like maybe 2 years now, that I would strongly recommend is Timular. It's Let's see if I can open it up. It's pretty cool. It has this one's optional, but it has this little dice thing where like so if you're not using it, it stays still like this. And then once you're using it, let's say I want to do work, I'll just put it down like that, and the thing that's staying up is going to be tracked as the time. And then once you're done, you just like put it back. So the gyroscope is what's managing your time for you or tracking your time for you. So that's pretty cool. And then I get to have so whenever possible, like having metrics or insights on last year. Let's see. So stuff like this, where like you find out how much time you spend on meetings. So through my time tracking, I learned that I spent so much time on emails and planning. I don't spend enough like social time. And I spent too much time on meetings and not enough time on coding, for example. So these are things that would be um, very helpful, very helpful insights when you're tracking your time. Yes, that's what I'm getting at. And let's see. Another thing would be time blocking. So, aside from knowing what has already happened with your time, planning out your time blocking, so that, for example, I'm only going to study data structures at this time period and nothing else. That would be time blocking. Some software that would be helpful for blocking time, that would help you block time, aside from just what is this app? Oh, it's called Timular. It's that one. And uh, so not time blocking does not just mean set aside the time to do it, but also make sure that that's the only thing you do. So you know those apps that like block your social media, or keep you from opening your phone, or count how many times you try to check if you have a message and then shame you for it. Those kinds of things are very helpful, especially if you're like me that has like a little bit of an addiction to their phone. So some suggestions that I have for that is Forest. So Forest is super cool because it makes studying or productivity collaborative. Um, let's see, Forest app. Let's see if, yeah. So this app is super duper helpful. It's a classic. And you basically grow a tree during the time that you don't use your phone, and then you end up with a huge forest of different kinds of trees. That is very motivating when you start seeing like, oh, there's a lot of them, that means I was that productive. Seeing like reassurance or affirmation of the work that you've done is helpful for staying motivated. And it's not just working or studying, but even just like being intentional with spending time with other people instead of being on your phone. Super cool. Toggle. Yes, I've heard of that. Thank you. Let's go to Toggle. Thank you. Awesome. So that there's Forest. What other time blocking apps are there? Built into both iPhone and iOS. I sorry, iPhone and Android, I think. E.g. digital well-being. I think it locks it out. If not, then it at least tells you the time tracking stuff. Excuse me. So, um, that's for time blocking. And then finally, or unless anyone else has other stuff that they want to talk about, the last thing would be what do you call it? Pomodoro technique. So the Pomodoro technique is 25-5, um, where you study for 25 minutes and then, oh, so okay, let me finish this first. You study for 25 minutes and then you take a break for 5 minutes and then 25 minutes and then 5 minutes, etc. And you do it in these intervals because um, one, it gives you these bursts of focus because like in those 25 minutes, you don't do anything else. You don't check your phone, you don't go to the bathroom, or ideally, of course, emergencies happen, but disciplining yourself to stick to those 25 minutes of productivity helps you get a burst out. And then during those 5 minutes, you step away from your desk, you do anything else that isn't productive to decompress. And then this forces you to take a break. Because sometimes, so they're the folks who are the kind who uh, take too long of a break. So that's me. That's typically what we hear about, where you don't take a break. You take too long of a break and then you lose all of your time. But then there are also the folks who don't take a break at all. It sounds like a good thing because you're being productive, but in the long run, you're burning yourself out. You're not taking care of yourself. You're gonna you're not gonna have as many Pomodoro cycles, for example. And there is it is proven that you can only focus for so long before you get distracted or your brain starts farting or whatever it may be. And making sure that you have gaps in between will give your brain time to rest, absorb what you just read instead of just bombarding it with a lot of information. Um, Longer, I think it was like a longer break every hour, every 4 cycles or something. Yeah, I'd say that. 2 cycles? Yeah, I'm just gonna say every few cycles because the rule, you make up your rules. You adjust things based on how you need them or like how they can help you. Which brings me to the quote that I would like to impart, and I'm going to put it here. Wait, where was Jess's? So I'm gonna put Jess's here, and then I'm gonna put mine. So planning for potential failures can help you. And then another thing that I wanted to say was whatever works for you is what works best. And what I mean by that is instead of trying to stick to very specific rules like, oh, um, I will only do Pomodoro technique and it will only be like this, like this, like this. Um, do do the productivity method that works for you, adjust it to however you work, and like you don't have to follow the way other people do it, because your brain works differently, of course, and that's perfectly okay. Um, with that in mind, so I'm just gonna put like tidbits of like whatever quotes we have or like takeaways. That's the word I'm looking for. So whatever takeaways we have, I'm gonna put in the front so that everyone can see it, and then it'll summarize everything that we've had for the rest of the slides, which of course I'm giving to everyone as a reminder. Um, Anyway, so Blaze was saying that Calendly was asking if Calendly counts, and the thing that I want to say with that is Calendly allows you to. I mean, yeah, it counts actually. So okay, so let's put that down. But it wouldn't be time tracking. It wouldn't be. It would be scheduling. So I'm gonna put that under scheduling. Scheduling. Um, it would be Calendly. So to those unfamiliar, it allows you to get other people to schedule time with you, um, for people with lots of meetings. But if you're doing stuff by yourself, like if you're not collaborating with other people, Calendly wouldn't be as useful. But for example, if you're a freelancer or if you're a team leader, Calendly is super duper useful and it connects to your calendar, does a lot of stuff for you, super duper helpful. Um, One tip that I have for scheduling, since we brought it up, would be um, find a balance between um, putting buffers. Okay, so let's say put buffers between events, but also, but not too long because then you'd be wasting. Like for example, if you have like a like when you have classes and then you have a really long break in between and you don't know what to do with it, and then you end up doing like nothing. Um, Putting them back to back with a buffer would allow you to have more time later on, for example, for a bigger one, for a bigger task or for focus time. But place them together so you have longer focus time elsewhere. So, for example, instead of having like a um, 3 events, one in the morning, in the middle of the day, in the evening. If you put them all in the morning, and then the rest of the day can be for whatever focus time you need, um, it'll keep you from having to switch up every time, like having to recalibrate your brain for this other thing that you have to do, especially if they're for different commitments, like one's for school and one's for work. So that would be helpful. And to answer finding the slides later, I'm going to put the link in the announcement that I made for this session, as well as the website that I am going to make. And I am going to take it upon myself to finish it before the end of this GHW so that everyone has it before I have one more session on Saturday. um, my goal is, oh, see, I'm already goal setting. The goal for my resources page is putting it in the creating a resources page for all of them. Absolutely. I like the tip that Blaze gave. If anyone else has any tips, I'm always welcome. Be flexible with time schedules to adapt to any changes. Yep. Another, yeah. I wonder, one second. Wrong browser. Whee. I'm trying to find the red that Emily has. Oh well, never mind. Um, Wrong one. Come on, never mind. We don't care. Sorry about that, friends. So we were at mental health, yes, because I think we just finished time management. So I'm gonna go into mental health, which I would love to talk about becoming motivated or not becoming, staying motivated, not burning out, motivation versus discipline, um, burnout, and then not beating yourself up too hard about broken habits and missed deadlines. Okay, so starting out with motivation versus deadline. Motivation to me is intrinsic, whereas, like, as in, I am motivated to do this because I want to, or because this is the thing that I hope to do. Whereas discipline is doing things even when you don't want to do them. And that's super important, especially to me, because when I don't like to do things, I don't do them. And that has gotten me into trouble like a bunch of times, especially with my grades. And discipline is something that I am currently trying to learn. So if anyone has any tips whatsoever, I would love to hear them. But motivation is motivation is intrinsic and wanted, while mm, I will rephrase this as you are motivated to do something you want to, but you need discipline to do something you don't want to. There. I think that's a good way to summarize it, because habits, for example, usually need more discipline, whereas goals are more motivation. Um, it's important to have both because, um, of course, motivation is, yeah. So motivation will like help you keep that north star of this is the thing that I want to do, so I'm going to go for it, and keep that in mind as I do everything, so that I um like set myself up for success. Whereas um when when you're disciplined, you know you don't have to do it, you know you don't want to do it, but you know that it has to be done. Like, for example, someone has to do it, or like if I'm not going to do it, no one else will. That stuff requires discipline. um and getting to that discipline when I don't want to do something, sometimes the Shia LaBeouf just do it video helps me. Absolutely. I would love to talk about that. So, um, something that helps with motivation and discipline, positive affirmations. So let's talk about that. Positive, just affirmations in general. So it may sound silly to some folks, but like reminding yourself, for example, that you are capable or that you are qualified, talented, accomplished, um, helps you be more positive for the rest of the things that you have to do. And then, so that's internal, that's coming from you, that's positive self talk. Um, Whereas just a suggestion of Shaya telling you to do it is external. It's someone else helping you stay motivated and disciplined. So external, just oh, let's see, just do it. Just oops, cool. So I'm gonna put that right there. Cool. It's I feel like it would be extra amusing because my slides are very bare, and now I just have a GIF. Um, if I used Comic Sans on everything, because it's like plain, there's like pictures very like sloppily pasted, it would be amusing. But yeah, so external affirmations versus internal self-talk. So, Remi yes, so reminding yourself that you are qualified, that you are talented, that you got this, um, is like fake it till you make it is real, but don't call it that because you're reminding yourself that it's fake until you make it. But telling yourself until you feel it and you believe it and you internalize it takes a little bit of time. And again, with the mental health stuff, being patient with yourself. Okay, so this is patience. Not beating yourself up too hard, I think boils down to patience. And I don't know, being compassionate with yourself. And I'm just pulling therapy words. But so with the affirmation, no, I think I'm done with the affirmations. But yeah, put it on a post-it, put it as your wallpaper, put it on your whiteboard, put uh, having those affirmations like somewhere where you can see them or even if you can hear them. I know some people who like record their own voices and then like play that recording of them hyping themselves up. That's a pretty good idea. May sound silly because apparently talking to yourself sounds crazy, but it's not. Self-talk was literally suggested in therapy, and that's to avoid crazy. So you're good. And so positive affirmations, we're good. I keep going back to it, my bad. Um, Unless anyone else wants to add anything about motivation and discipline, I'm going to talk about burnout. Um, and burnout is something that I think I want, yeah. So, what I want to say about burnout is learning your triggers will help you avoid it. So learn your triggers to so you can avoid it. So for example, I know that I'm starting to burn out when I get irritable, when I start getting snappy or cranky or stuff like that. Um, I know I'm starting to get burnt out. When that happens, when I see myself starting to get burnt out, I will know to take a step back, to take a break, take a nap, take a walk, get some sunlight, photosynthesize, just self care um, in order to avoid burning out. Because when you're burnt out, even if you push yourself to keep going, if you're out of fuel, you're out of fuel. And like trying to pull it out of you when there's nothing left will only harm you instead of help you. So making sure you don't run on empty in the first place would be the best way, the most sustainable way to maintain productivity. Hello. And so, in order to, so learning your triggers will avoid burnout. Another way to avoid burnout would be and taking frequent, not frequent, and taking breaks. And when I say breaks, one thing worth noting here is that staying at your desk. Hi, Pallavi. Um, Staying at your desk with on your phone, on TikTok, for example, might not count as a break because, for example, your eyes will be strained. Um, your photosynthesis is not photosynthesizing. Your muscles are not stretched. So taking intentional breaks, maybe, or positive breaks. Um, Intentional useful breaks, I want to say that, would help you avoid burnout. And so let's think about different ways to, so I keep saying photosynthesize. Um, that's one thing, as in getting sunlight, especially to my, uh, so to folks who are in winter countries where there's not enough sunlight anymore, it's super duper important. Like seasonal depression is real. And and I don't know, vitamin D, even just like from a physical health perspective, getting sunlight is super duper important. So get out while it's like sunny. Um, what else? Taking walks. Uh, Take a walk, walk your dog, etc. Um, What else? Oh, I love this question. How do you take care of health and fitness in such a sedentary lifestyle? This is a good question because, and I want to go into a little bit of a tangent. Hopefully, it'll spark some questions and discussion. Um, but during COVID, I was like locked down for like what, 2 years almost straight. Um, no reason to go out. Like I would Uber Eats everywhere. School was all online. Even when school was back online, I would like avoid going out because the the lockdown gave me social anxiety that made it hard for me to like talk to everyone because I forgot how to like be outside and like live a non-sedentary lifestyle. But yeah, that was one of the effects. But the point that we're getting at is the physical movement. And one way is so a small way would be just like um, taking a walk to the bathroom, to the kitchen, etc. Just like taking a walk in your house every few minutes to get a thing that counts as like moving. If you take a walk around your block, that also counts. That helps with the sunlight thing, fresh air thing. Um, and I don't know, say hi to your neighbors. And Another thing would be honestly just get a yoga mat. Um, Squats, sit-ups. I don't know. I'm not a very exercisey person, but I'm assuming if you do exercise, getting a yoga mat or like one of those mat things so that you can do calisthenics, like you can do it at home because even if you are sedentary, or even if you are staying at home, you have no excuse. You don't have to go to the gym. You have a yoga mat. Um, what else? You could also do those stretch things. Something that you may have noticed that I am noticing now is that posture is super duper important. Um, I should probably sit like this more often. Taking care of your back all the time is um, helpful so that you don't like later down the line it starts piling up and then you're gonna end up with a bag of back at like 24, like me. um, and what else? Another way to take care of your health, oh, don't snack. As much as possible, do not snack. I was my heaviest when I was sedentary, and I would just eat even though I'm not hungry. I would just eat because I was bored. Like I called it bored hungry. Not hungry, bored hungry. And it was really detrimental to my health and fitness. Because it would just be like chips, soda, and just like all of these unhealthy stuff. Um, and unhealthy food coupled with unhealthy movement spells disaster. Um, so even if you don't go out a lot, if you avoid the bad food part, that's still like half the battle that you're already winning. So my suggestion for that would be, oh, what else? Let's see. Don't eat when you're just bored. Cool. Um, if you do want to have snacks, eat smart snacks. I think those are what they're called, like fruits or yeah, I don't even know what good snacks are. Does anyone have any suggestions on what kind of like quick, healthy snacks or exercises they've been doing in order to stay healthy, even though they're, for example, work from home or remote or stuff like that? Ooh, yogurt, fruits, yogurt, granola. Those are good suggestions. Yeah, thanks. Um, don't get chips. Don't be like me. Um, yes. Let's see. Nuts, yes. I'm not gonna put nuts just because like some people are allergic to that. But yeah, nuts. Gym ball, standing desk. Oh yeah, so sure, that counts. The reason why I didn't suggest the standing desk, for example, is because it's a little like it's expensive. Was that what I was getting at? Yeah. So for folks who like don't have the means to get a standing desk, I was looking for alternatives where it wasn't like like I was looking for answers to your question where money wouldn't be an issue. Like you can't say the excuse of like, "Oh, I'm saving up for a standing desk, so it's okay that I'm sedentary." Um I don't know how much a mat is on Amazon, but then you have no excuse, and then you will have and you will be more disciplined to be more active in your sedentary lifestyle. So yeah. Um, of course, I'm open to any other questions. Blaze, let me know if that does or does not answer your question. Um, is there anything else about burnout that I want to say? Oh, something that I want to mention is hustle culture. Um, ooh, what do you mean by activity, Jessa? I'd love to hear it. Um, don't glorify hustle culture. So you know the culture of like um romanticizing sleep deprivation or um or a full minute by minute schedule. So stuff like that is not healthy. Oh, and skipping meals, stuff like that. So don't glorify hustle culture where like, oh, I'm so productive that I'm not doing these bare minimum things that I need for my health. Um, it like with everything, too much of something is a bad thing. Too much of hustle is unhealthy. So finding a balance. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna put the let's see, what's the balance? There it is. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, it's not the emoji. Oh well. But what I was trying to get at was um, the takeaway that I want to get have for this slide is balance. Whoa. Cool. Oops. One second. Let's do this. Nice. So balance is the takeaway that I want to get for burnout because uh, you need to balance being productive with taking care of yourself. Yeah. So if anything, again, let me know if you have anything to add, but I'm gonna go into not beating yourself up too hard. So patience, I'm gonna call it patience. Um, yeah. So not beating yourself up too hard, or not setting unrealistic expectations. That's something. For example, if you know that you're already tired and you have a project that has, let's say, three things that need to be done, but only one of them is absolutely urgent. An unrealistic expectation would be to finish all three things, even though you're absolutely exhausted. A more realistic expectation would be at least one is good enough. Um, Being patient with yourself that, like, yo, I was tired, but I did it anyway. That goes back again to affirmations where um, cong- congratulating yourself or giving yourself a pat on the back for the stuff that you did accomplish um, helps you stay motivated. And what else? Being patient with yourself in the sense of um, not replaying like mistakes over and over again. Um, that would be another example of being patient with yourself. But these are just some examples. And the point that I'm getting at is uh, actually there's separate points, but I hope that got across to y'all. Um, Let me make this a little smaller, and I don't understand why it's not moving. Oh, I know. So, I'm gonna take this second to fix that GIF, and solicit some questions from the audience, as I wrap up, because the only slide I have left is the contact information in case anyone wants to reach out or chill and chat and stuff like that. Chill and chat and stuff like that. I like that now. Let's see. Oopsies. Insert symbol. There we go. Hey, I just wanted it to move. Sorry, friends. Cool. So let's see. Um, that sounds like so. I heard nothing from the chat, which means I'm just gonna end with my LinkedIn right here, and then my Discord, and then I don't know this thing. Oops, I got branding, y'all. Unfortunately, could not get the Instagram, but I got branding. Um, oh, there's no at in Discord. It's just that. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So, um, and did I forget anything? Yeah, sounds about right. So, um, I have covered everything that I wanted to. I have my contact information in case you want to stay in touch. I welcome all LinkedIn requests. Or yeah, and as promised, you will receive. Actually, because I am the kind of GHW December 22. I'm going to update the announcement with the link immediately because y'all are not going to catch me forgetting. So, yeah. So, slides are officially up for everyone. Um, I am good to go. And I want to thank everyone for staying and chatting and learning about productivity. Thank you, friends. Bye bye. Thank you.